on an all-new Buffy. A brush with fate will change Xander overnight.
You okay?
I'm fine.
But the new Xander is really someone else.
What am I doing in there? Something has stolen my face, and it's going around pretending to be me. Get away from her!
Xander!
Anya.
Xander!
Only Buffy
It has to deal with the Slayer now.
can separate one Xander from another.
No, Buffy, I'm me. No!
An all-new Buffy.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
And he's over there slamming shit as we come in from the intro music there.
I'm just throwing shit around. Fuck this. I'm out of here already.
Fuck it!
Fuck it. I'm tired of this shit already. 3 episodes in. I'm already tired of this bullshit.
I quit.
I quit. This is not what I negotiated in my new contract.
Speaking of that, this week we're going to be jumping into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 5, Episode Trace, The Replacement. What do you think about that, James?
So last week we posited that it was probably about werewolves.
Right.
That's not what it's about.
Isn't it, though?
It decidedly isn't.
Oh, okay.
It decidedly isn't.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I can't really argue that.
No, because you would be arguing it in bad faith. Because there is nary a werewolf to be seen in this episode.
Nary a woof.
Nary a werewolf to be seen.
James, how are you? How you doing? It's been a long time. I feel like we haven't seen each other in, I don't know, a day.
Roughly 24 hours.
Yeah, I feel like that.
Yeah. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. Let's move on. Okay, so
I see you're still enjoying. I see you're still enjoying your Smarties.
I am still enjoying my Smarties. I will always enjoy Smarties because Smarties make the world go round.
Okay, then.
You don't agree?
I don't care for Smarties.
Wow. Well, we already talked last week about your very weird culinary tastes. So
as far as candy goes, I think Smarties are on the tail end of the spectrum. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, and I already know. I know a lot of our listeners probably aren't aware of this, but I already know your weird ass tastes in candy. So that does not surprise me.
What? Why don't I have weird tastes in candy?
Yeah, folks. You know those little strawberry candies that your grandma always had at her house in like a glass jar that no one would touch, and they're wrapped in the little faux strawberry wrapper. Yeah, James.
You keep going.
James loves those, and he's the first human being that I've ever met that does in fact like those, and so I'm not real sure that he is a human being, honestly.
Jeremy's referring to these.
Yes.
Strawberry. The people watching can see strawberry bonbons. They're fine. They're delicious. There's nothing wrong with them. I've got a candy dish full of them.
Are you also a fan of circus peanuts?
No, my dad loved those things. I will once in a while, just out of nostalgia and like missing my old man, will buy a pack of circus peanuts at like the dollar store because you can get like it's like $1
you can get like 38 pounds of them for $1.
No, you can get like 5 of them for $1, and like 5 is about all I can stand before I want to vomit because they're circus peanuts.
They're so
horrible. I also have these in my candy. You can't see them. They're latte candies by Ballas's Best. They're coffee flavored.
Yeah, I would dig that.
Hard candies. Those are pretty.
I would dig that.
So, but
strawberry bonbons, like I swear, my grandma had a jar of those my entire life. She never had to refill it because no one ever ate them. Only weird people would even consider it, James. So I'm pretty sure.
What should I keep in my candy dish on the table? M&Ms?
Well, my mom does.
They would melt. They would go bad.
They only melt and go bad if your house is hotter than a fucking well digger's ass. Well, that's actually be colder. Anyway,
I just don't like the idea of having like open M&Ms sitting in a bowl on my table.
well, there's a lot of candies you could put in a bowl. You could put Werther's Originals. You could put
Werther's are good.
Oh yeah, Jolly Ranchers. You could put. There's innumerable amounts of individually wrapped candies you could put in there that beat the hell out of fucking grandma's strawberry bonbons.
I don't know. They're pretty good.
Well, you are a strange individual, but that's why we love you.
What were we doing again? Oh yeah.
I think we were podcasting, but I don't know.
Who knows? It doesn't even really matter anymore.
I don't think anyone cares. Yeah.
Nah.
Most people turn on a podcast and they just kind of phase out anyway. So we're just back.
Right. We're just background noise while they're like vacuuming or masturbating or something. I don't know.
Jogging and which that's another thing. Who runs for fun? I mean, honestly,
doing their makeup at 3 p.m. or something. I don't know.
Bunch of healthy people, I swear. Anyway, so
as previously stated, what were you going to say? Something?
No. I was going to actually move you into that, but I couldn't find my paper and I had to dick down. I had to dick down. Wow. I had to duck down, and I got it. So yes, go ahead. Give us the dates and deets of this delicious episode.
Yummy. As previously stated, we will be diving into Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 5, Episode 3, our 81st episode of the series overall, The Replacement. Our episode director this week is James A. Contner, and our episode credited writer is Jane Espenson. Our original air date was October 10th, 2000 on the now defunct WB network. Our regular cast, as always, includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brendan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Mark Blucas as Riley, put that sign down, Emma Caulfield as Anya, Michelle Trachtenberg as Dawn, James Marsters as Spike, Anthony Stewart Head as Giles. Our guest stars this week include Christine Sutherland as Joyce, Michael Bailey Smith as Toth, and Kelly Donovan as Xander. What?
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 Kelly Who the fuck is that?
And why is he also Xander?
What? And why does he look exactly like Xander?
That would be because Kelly Donovan is Nicholas Brendan's 3-minute older identical twin brother.
Indubitably. And he uses his SAG name. He uses, I believe it's his middle name as his last name.
I believe so, yes. Yes.
For his blooming acting career that I don't know if
for his stellar acting career. I think was it him or Nikki Brendan that did a guest stint on Criminal Minds? I think it was him.
It could have been him, yeah.
I think it was him. I don't know.
Nikki Brennan was probably drunk at the time, so they couldn't.
Yeah, it's true. My episode synopsis this week reads: a mysterious doppelganger relishes an opportunity to take over Xander's life, bamboozling Buffy and everyone else.
Oh,
it's,
okay.
I mean,
sort of. Yeah.
Right.
Mine reads: when a demon creates a Xander double, the real Xander must convince his friends of his true identity. And again, no, not so much. No.
Yours is actually more accurate than mine, I think.
It is, except for I think that last little phrase there. But because there is. Oh, go ahead.
Our Nielsen rating this week 3.5, ranking it 82
that went
out
down
of the 100. Ranking it 82 out of the 124 primetime shows airing across network television that week, and dropping it to 4th place out of the 17 primetime shows airing on the WB that week. That is a 3-place drop from our season premiere and a continued drop from our 2nd episode.
Yeah, and I know, I think we've talked about this before in previous seasons, but what the hell else was anybody watching on the fucking WB network in the year 2000?
I mean, I know you don't want to believe it, but the WB was they had most of the popular hit primetime shows for that age demographic. So
I think I was a little, well, in 2000 I was 21, so I think I was a little, maybe a bit out of that age bracket, so maybe that's why I was like, because I don't remember there being anything on the WB network other than Angel and Buffy that I gave a flying French fried fuck about. I mean, there was like Dawson's Creek and
right.
Dawson's Creek. Like, I still think I can even remember, but I was like, who the fuck is watching this shit? But
well, yeah, I mean, because you and I in 2000, we were kind of aged a little bit out of that main demographic for most of those shows.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we were, practically speaking, we were probably aged out of the demographic for Buffy and Angel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I guess that kind of tells the story of how good those two shows were. Because I'm sure there were people even older than us who were like, big time fans.
Oh, I'm sure. Where was I? Oh yeah, I did the Nielsen ratings. We did dates and deets. So we open on Xander and Anya and Buffy and Riley chilling in Xander's basement apartment, and they're watching an old kung fu movie. And Buffy is uncharacteristically distracted by the studying. There's some back and forth banter between, I kind of, this, as much as we rag on Riley, I kind of like the developing relationship between him and Xander.
Well, I will say, agreed on that. And also, I feel like, well, having watched several episodes already for this season for preparation for our award-winning podcast, I do like Riley much more in season 5 than I did in season 4. He towards the end of season 4, he was getting better, but yeah, I think he's a much better character already here early in season 5 than he ever was in season 4. So, agreed.
Mm-hmm. So there's some banter back and forth between Riley and Xander, and Riley tries to get Buffy's head out of her book by giving her a shoulder rub, and Xander follows suit with Anya, who is quick to protest because she has a dislocated shoulder from getting manhandled by the lineman of a vampire from Harmony's Goon Squad last week.
Bob the Builder.
And Xander's parents come home, and we hear them upstairs drunkenly yelling at each other and fighting, and
it sounds like somebody's getting fucked up, honestly.
And Xander, of course, tries to distract with jokes, and Buffy finally starts paying attention to the movie and pointing out all the areas where the fighting is wrong, and Riley chastises her and tells her just to enjoy the movie, and she says, well, you'd be upset too if it was a army movie and everyone was saluting backwards or something.
Yeah. Which is probably I said which is probably true.
Right. And then Buffy tries to defend herself also by saying, Willow's also critical when we watch a movie about witches, right, Xander? And Xander's like, oh, yeah. She's all like, what's that? A cauldron? Who even uses a cauldron anymore? At which point we cut to a lair somewhere ominously filled with smoke, and there's dramatic music playing, and we come upon a demon hovering over a large bubbling cauldron, and he pulls his hood off, and he's got this brown skin that's all cracking everywhere, and he says, the last step in thy forging is my pain, the price with which I purchase the death of the slayer. And he shoves his hand, which is holding some sort of rod or stick, into the cauldron, and he screams out in pain. And that's our cold open.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, Daddy."
He shoves his hand in there, and he's like, "Oh, Daddy."
So just a few things real quick about that scene. First of all, the demon looked awesome.
No, shut up. What?
Wow. Yeah, the demon looked awesome.
Yeah. This demon does look pretty good.
I
And there was
like, wow, that's good. That's good.
And there was also, aside from like his skin being like brown and cracking, there seems to be like kind of a yellow light emitting from inside him, like through the cracks a little bit. Yeah,
well,
it's pretty cool.
My screen, on mine, it looked green.
Well, adjust your color settings.
I guess it depends on what you watch it on, or if you're colorblind, James.
Adjust your color settings.
Yeah, colorblind. The other thing I wanted to bring up about that scene was, which you failed to say, Xander makes a comment that it's time for him to look for a different place to live.
He does.
Because reasons. Because apparently his parents are drunken lunatics that beat each other every day. And I guess he's possibly over that. So
he's possibly over that. I also didn't mention, but I think it's kind of funny, and maybe I should have. They do have a little brief conversation about how they think Xander's cat peed on his hot plate in the basement.
Right. They can't use the hot plate anymore because the cat peed on it. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Go ahead with the next scene if you would. I'm a little lost in my notes here.
Oh my! I thought you were professional.
That was your first mistake.
So we cut in after our opening credits. We cut into a modern apartment building, and nice foliage surrounding it with a for rent sign outside. And we cut inside to the hallway, and Willow's babbling about how if Xander gets this apartment, this will be his hallway, and they'll be like, la 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 la, I'm on my way to Xander's. And Buffy was like, I'm just warning you, Xander, I probably won't be doing that. And Riley's all like, really? I will. So Xander reiterates that they're just looking, and the rent's really high, so no one should get their hopes up. And Anya says, but you have references. And he says, no, I have Albert, which is just me doing an important voice. So they go inside to this apartment, and it's a nice apartment. It's a nice apartment. And,
yeah, this is it's Sunnydale, but haven't we always said, what did we always say? Like Sunnydale is basically a representation of, oh God, which town is it in California? Anyway, that's like a $5,000 a month apartment. Easy.
Oh, yeah.
And it comes furnished,
right?
Because it has a cow. It has like a sectional. It's got tables. There's a microwave already. She goes, the the realtor lady or whatever says to him, okay, yeah, and the electricity and something, gas or something is already on. And I'm like, oh, and he walks into the bedroom at one point. There's already a bed, and it's like, yeah,
Right.
this is not a cheap apartment.
Right. Yeah, so they're in and they're all in awe at the apartment. They comment about how big it is, and the real estate manager comes up and introduces herself to, or she mistakes Riley for Xander, and Riley corrects her and points her to Xander, and she looks slightly disappointed that Xander is who she's dealing with.
Well, let's not forget Xander's wearing like this crazy check patterned button up shirt that's open with like a long sleeve yellow shirt underneath. Like he looks ridiculous. He looks like Xander. So yeah. Riley looks like a grown man and Xander looks like a high school weirdo.
Right. So they introduce themselves, and Anya is basically giving the layout of the apartment, and she's saying, you know, we can have Scooby meetings in the living room, and Giles can explain the boring things over there, and Willow points out that there's a microwave, and as you pointed out, the real estate manager says that the phone and electricity are already hooked up. There's a private balcony, ceiling fans, closet space. Meanwhile, Buffy and Riley have snuck off to the bedroom.
I never understood this, and it's so weird. Because if you watch closely on during this scene, you will see them just like nonchalantly walk away from everyone else. They open up a door, which is the bedroom. They go in and they just close the door behind them and leave the realtor and everybody else out there. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah. So, and that's when the manager's talking about everything, and you know, she says, you know, there's lots of closet space, and she's like, and that's the bedroom, which she says as Xander opens the bedroom door, and we see Buffy and Riley are sitting on the bed making out, and Xander's like, can't you save it for the bedroom? And they kind of look around, and he's like, okay, good point.
See, I would have been like, can't you save this for not my bedroom?
my potential bedroom?
Yeah, right. I mean, fuck. What are you, 13?
So he walks away, and they get up, and the real estate manager tells Xander that she brought an application for him to fill out, and he's taken aback by having to fill out an application. He thought he could just give his references, and I'm like, what is this, 1963? Like,
yeah,
what?
I know. I was like, has no one ever taught this poor stupid idiot like how the world works? Like, oh, I just thought I would say thank you, I'll take it, and it was mine.
Right. And like, if someone did tell him all he needs is references, then they obviously haven't tried to apply for anything in at least 30 years. No, not even ever, because there was a time when all you needed was references. Like, there was a time, but
and then she's like, and we got to check your credit, and I'm thinking,
right,
well, this is stupid. He's 19. He clearly has no credit. Although we'll find out later on, she tells him, oh yeah, we did your credit check and it was just fine. And I was like,
right,
what? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so then she talks about having to do the credit check, and Anya says he'll take it, and Xander pulls her to the side to talk quietly, and they proceed to I was going to say they proceed to have a full-blown argument there in front of everybody and the real estate manager, but that's not even the case. What proceeds to happen is Anya berates Xander for being a loser in front of all of his friends and this real estate manager, and then storms out of the apartment.
Yeah, she throws a fit, basically.
Right. So he after she leaves, Xander takes the application and starts to fill it out, at which point we cut to the magic box. And are you ready to take over?
Yeah, because inside the magic box is a massive fire. And there are poor customers running around every direction. Some of them with their heads on fire. Some of them are already just engulfed in flames, and it's clear they're just done for. And Giles is just running around with marshmallows on a stick, trying to roast them on people as they're running around screaming. It's so troubling.
It is. It's really weird. You're kind of like, this is not what I would expect from you, Giles.
Yeah. But he's also, in the other hand, he has a bottle of bourbon, so he's all drunk. And
he is so wasted.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, he's he's just working around inside there, preparing. It's clearly not open to the public yet. He's obviously working on that. Just getting things set up and organized and whatnot and so forth. At which time, Mr. Cracked-skinned, green-faced demon appears and just asks him if he has a public restroom that he can use.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, you got a pisser I can use real quick?"
And Giles is like, "Man, I wouldn't normally do this, but okay."
But if we were open for business right now, I would say it's only for paying customers. But since we're still a few days away from opening, go ahead. You can use it. Use it.
But don't pee on the fucking seat.
Right. Please make sure, if you can't aim properly, please sit down.
Right. Please sit like a woman and urinate.
Right.
And the guy's like, "Well, the problem is, sir, I've actually got to drop a deuce."
Right.
And
Giles is like, and he's like, "You know what? I don't think I can."
Giles is like, there's no toilet paper in there. And he's he's got these long flowing black robes on. And he's like, "No, it's cool. I'm not a wiper." Giles is like, "Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." And at that point, basically the demon attacks. Right. And Giles defends himself with a large sculpture of a fertility goddess. He pretty well houses this demon around, like several nice hits.
Right. But it has no effect on the demon.
No. And I was like, "Oh shit, this is a tough," because when he hit him the first time, I was like, "Oh shit, I think he KO'd him." But then the demon was like, "No."
No. And the demon, this really rubbed me the wrong way. The demon calls Giles a feeble man.
Yeah.
and keep in mind, and this is why it rubs me the wrong way. Keep in mind, as we've previously discussed, Giles is roughly our age.
Yeah, I know.
And yet they treat him like he's a fucking senior citizen.
Yeah, like he's an 80-year-old invalid that just got out a day pass from the fucking retirement home. Yeah. No. So the demon just backhands him, sends him fucking flying, and then he's like, I want the Slayer. You mean nothing to me. And then he just flows right out of there. Having not been able to poop.
Right. And literally flows, like he's just floating majestically.
Yeah. And he's got a turtle head, so he's looking for a bath.
Right.
I think he's leaving there. I think he's leaving there and going straight across the street there to that. Is that a little diner or a coffee thing? Whatever it is. And
probably he's probably going to pop into the espresso pump.
That's what the espresso place. I think he's hit there because he's got to hit the head because he's about to.
But you know what's going to happen over there? They're going to be like, "Sorry, bathroom's only for paying customers," and then all hell's going to break loose.
Literally, yeah. He'll open a hell portal, and he's like, "I've got a shit," and things get heated.
Here's a good question too. How come the front door to the magic box is just unlocked?
Yeah, because is it this episode? I think it's okay. It's either this episode or the next episode, because they literally show that it's not unlocked, because Buffy and it's the next episode. Buffy and Riley arrive and they have to knock. Like Willow and Tara and I believe Xander and Anya are already there, but Buffy and Riley arrive and they have to knock so that Giles can go and unlock the front door and let them in. So yeah, I guess the demon, maybe he just picked the lock.
Or Giles decided to start locking the door after he got housed by a demon.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So they have a little. Where is the powwow? Oh, they have the powwow there at the magic box.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit later on, and Giles is telling him what happened and whatnot and so forth, and the Scoobs are talking it over, and they're like, "This is a good little." There's a good little thing here where Giles is like, he had a very distinctive smell, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay, well that might help us, kind of track down maybe where his lair is or whatever." And God dang, what is it? Willow asked him, she's like, "Oh, demons in their spells a lot use something." She's like, did he smell sandalwoody?" And and Giles goes, "No, not even remotely. No." But the smell was very distinctive. And then we cut immediately to the scene where the Scoobies are walking. It's nighttime now, and they're in the city dump. So apparently this guy smelled like hot trash, literally. And I was like, oh God, the dump. You know what? I think if I'm the Scoobies and we put it together that the guy's lair is apparently at the city dump, I think I'm just going to wait for him to come to us again. I don't think I'm going to go to Hepatitis Central to look for the demon.
Right, because here's the thing. We already know he's looking for the Slayer.
Right.
So just sit back, wait for him to come back again, and
go to the coffee shop, get an espresso, a cappuccino, whatever you want, and chill, because he'll be back.
A scone.
Yeah.
Grab an espresso, get a scone, cherry, preferably. Love a good cherry scone.
Yeah.
And just sit and wait for the demon to come back.
But no, instead they're all like, "Hey, we should all get together as a group and go to the city dump. And we'll just walk around. Like, I don't know about you and your city, if you've ever been to your city dump before. I have been to mine
I have not. We've evidently led very different lives.
Clearly. I've been to mine several times over the years, having to pay to get rid of certain things, large furniture, whatever. And it is fucking enormous. Like, it is just acres and acres and acres of hepatitis and syphilis. And so it's like, why would you guys think that you can just show up there and just walk around and like eventually, we'll find him eventually. So I don't know. It just seemed a little.
Right.
It seems to me like the smarter plan would have been like, well, let's just wait a day. I'm sure he'll come back again tomorrow because he's clearly looking for me.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, so they go there and it's nighttime and they're walking around.
Well, I did want to mention that in that scene where they're powwowing at the magic box, we do find out that this demon is his named Toth.
Yeah,
and he's a member of the Tothric clan.
Well, he's the only survivor, the only surviving member of the Tothric clan. Now,
right, and he's unusually sophisticated.
Right, and they're like, "What is that? Like, so does that mean he dresses well?" And they're like, "No, it means he uses tools or weapons or whatnot instead of just being a feral, use your hands and teeth demon kind of thing. So now here's my question though, James, and this I'm being legit serious here. I think I skipped that part because at the end of the episode, I was like, who cares? Who cares what he was, what clan he was from, that he was sophisticated, any of those things, because they meant nothing. None of it mattered. Like, he could have just been Bill the Demon with a turtle head. Seriously. And
no, I kind of get what you're saying, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I think they expect that, like, there's going to be, I don't know. I feel like, as much as I understand what you're saying, I feel on the other hand, like, I would have left the episode feeling empty, even more empty, if they had just never told us anything about this demon.
Oh, no. You're misunderstanding me. I'm not saying they shouldn't have named demon. I'm saying they stopped right there. Like, they never told us, why was he after the Slayer? Like, they didn't give us any type of
no, they do
motivation.
Yeah, they do.
When
they're talking about why Xander got split in two, they talk about it.
Okay, we'll talk. I guess we'll discuss it when we get there. I don't know. At the end of the episode, I was like, well, what was his motivation? I mean, I get it. He's a demon, and demon's bad. Demon come after Slayer, but it just seemed like they gave him a lot as far as they named his race. They gave his whole backstory and what he's into, but it felt to me like that was all they gave. They were like, it's like they gave him a biography, skeleton biography. And it was just like they didn't even discuss how to kill him. So when Buffy kills him, I'm like, is he really dead? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It just seemed very shallow. Like they were just like, oh yeah, there's a demon here. And then let's do the rest of the episode. We don't really want to talk about the demon. And I don't.
Well, when we get to that point, I'll explain to you what the demon's motivation was.
Okay, because I clearly didn't see it. So yeah, they're in the dump. They're walking around. They're jaw jacking. They're not even trying to be stealthy or investigative and nothing. They're just walking around in the dump, talking shit to each other, throwing, shooting spitballs at each other, and they hear some ruckus, and they go around this little corner and they look, and who is it but fucking Spike? And Spike's got a shopping cart, and he's filling it up with random junk. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing in here? And he's like, what do you fucking think I'm doing in a junkyard? I'm getting shit for my fucking vampire lair, like.
I like how I laughed when at first he was like, oh, well, a very nice lady vamp set up a tea, like a tea shop, and another pile of garbage or something like that. Yeah. And then he's like, what the fuck do you think I'm doing here? I'm scavenging for shit.
Yeah, and he's like holds up this little kind of this lamp looking thing, and Willow's like, oh, that's nice. And Spike is like, see, thank you. And so they're like, well, we're looking for a demon, and they kind of they're like, big guy, but they explain it to Spike, and he's like, oh, and a guy like in big robes like that one right there, and they all spin around, and there's the demon. And he holds out his stick, which it just looks like a stick, and he holds it out and he starts shooting like these blasts out of it, like mystical whatever magic blasts out of it. And one looks like it's going to hit, I believe it was Anya, and
Buffy, actually.
Oh, was it Buffy? Okay, it was going to hit Buffy, and Xander runs up and he's like, watch out, and he pushes her out of the way, and he gets blasted and knocked back about fucking 6 miles into this big pile of trash. And then they all run to Xander, and then they turn back to the demon, but the demon has fucked off. He's He's got to take another dump. So he got out of there. And they're all like, Xander, are you okay? And they all help him up out of the garbage and shit. And he's like, oh, fuck. And Riley says, well, how does he say that? He goes, that had to hurt. And Xander's like, yeah. And then we cut to, I guess, what would have been a commercial. We come back, and it's like the next morning, but we're still in. I should say, so the Scoobies all fuck off. They leave the city dump with Xander, who in tow. They're all kind of helping him walk because he's pretty fucked up. Then we cut to the next morning, and we're still in the city dump, and we're like, what?
After they walk off, that's when the camera pans back to where they just were, and we see that Xander's still laying there unconscious.
Yes.
Which raised the question for me: how did they not see an entire other fucking Xander right there?
Yeah. Well, it's called plot armor, James.
Because it's not like he was like several feet away, or he was literally like right there behind where the other Xander was, like just kind of tucked behind some garbage.
Like they would have been touching. They were so close.
Yeah.
So
they were so close. They probably would have been playing tummy sticks.
Yeah. Well, they would have definitely been giving each other hand jobs.
Right.
100%. So now it's the next morning, and we cut back to the graveyard, the city dump, and this Xander does wake up finally. And he's like, "What the fuck am I doing in the goddamn city dump?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm home. That's where I'm at. Okay." And he just climbs into the trash, and he's like, "It's so nice to be home.
Oh, it's so good to be home because I'm a piece of trash.
Because I'm a piece of garbage, and I'm right where I belong." So no, but he's just like, "What the hell is going on?" And we kind of follow him, and he gets back to his basement dwelling, and but the door's locked, so he's banging on the door, and he's like, Anya, are you in there, Anya? And I'm like, why the fuck would Anya be there? Like, that's not even her house. Like, why wouldn't he just go to the front door, like, of his parents' house and be like, oh, hey, I'm locked out of your basement that I live in. I need to get in. But no, he's gonna beat on the basement door and ask for Anya, who doesn't live there. Right. So he finally gives that up, and he runs around to the side and gets down to the ground to look in the basement window, and he sees himself in apparently having just got out of the shower and was like getting ready and stuff. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna fuck myself." And he starts climbing in the window. You say that, but have you ever read or seen so it was a book, The Time Traveler's Wife? No.
And then there was a movie and a 1-season TV series adaptation of it. So in that story, obviously it's about a time traveler. At one point in time, he travels to, basically there's two versions of himself at one point, and he has sex with himself.
Okay. That's weird. Anyway, so but obviously he's like, what the fuck? And he's all tripped out. So he goes running away, and he's like, I need Buffy. So he goes running away to a what does he go to, James? What does he run to use?
Oh, a payphone.
Yes. A payphone. He goes to use a payphone.
And I want to point out here, though, too, that already in this brief, like between the dump and here, we're getting it's going to sound weird to say, but we are getting almost a hyper version of the Xander that we've had for 4 years. Like, he seems way more like erratic and clumsy and whatnot, which I think is kind of important to point out for what we're gonna find out.
Is it though?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, boys and girls, he goes to a payphone. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Because I think if I have to explain what it is, I'll have to kill myself because I'll feel very old. So yes, he goes to a payphone and he's arguing with the operator that he doesn't have a quarter, and then he finally finds a quarter in his pocket, puts it in, calls Buffy. It's ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. And just as she's about to pick up, the other Xander walks past him on the street there, and he has to turn away like, oh shit. And the other Xander walks past him, and Buffy answers the phone finally. She's like, hello. And Xander hangs up for reasons. Instead of being like, fuck me, Buffy, dude, listen to this shit. And spill it out and say, come, I'm at the fucking payphone at on Hooker Lane where your mom works. Come and fucking pick me up. And we have to go after, because the other Xander is going to my job at the construction site, so I know exactly where he's at. Let's go get him and handle this situation. We can be out of this episode in like 10 minutes, okay? All right, later. But instead, no, he hangs up the phone and decides to 007 himself, I guess. So he follows himself to the construction site. Actually, he hangs the phone up and goes after that Xander, but we don't go directly to them on the next scene. We actually go to the crypt, or whatever you want to call it, where Spike is at, his little crypt pimp pad, and he is putting together, clearly, a doll, or a mannequin, I should say, that half a mannequin that looks like Buffy. And he's like, how posh, when he puts the blonde wig on it. And then he kicks the fuck out of it and destroys it. And picks up the head, and I didn't write down like what his exact words were, but he's basically like, someday, my pretty, I'm gonna get you. So yeah, he's clearly not giving up on his hatred of the Slayer. So then we cut to the construction site where Xander's been working.
You missed a whole scene with Buffy and Riley and Joyce and Dawn.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. Because I didn't care. Go ahead. You can do it if you'd like.
So after Xander hangs up on Buffy, we cut to Buffy, and she's with Riley in her bedroom, and she's like, "Oh, they hung up," and she's like, she's basically putting together her bag of weapons, and Riley's on edge about it, and she's like, it's not a big deal. Another day, another demon, and they kiss, and from just outside the doorway, we hear Dawn making choking and gagging noises, and we cut to her. I thought this was hysterical. I don't know why. She says, my friend Sharon's older brother knows a girl who died because she choked on her boyfriend's tongue.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought that was...
This literally didn't even make my write-up. I guess I just forgot the scene completely.
So Buffy's annoyed, and she tells Dawn to go away, and Dawn typical sibling move. She's like, well, I'm not in your room. I'm in the hallway. The hallway doesn't belong to you. And Joyce comes out of her bedroom, and Dawn and Buffy start arguing. Joyce says she's got a headache, and Dawn and Buffy start arguing about who gave her the headache. And Dawn's like, well, it's at least partly Buffy's, and Buffy's like, but it's part Dawn's, and Joyce is like, well, I'm glad you two have learned how to share. And then she walks away, and then Buffy slams.
But then she comes back, and she's like, I've had enough, and she fucking takes a 45 and kills both of them, then puts the gun in her mouth, and she's like, fuck this, and just does herself in right there. So she can't take it anymore. And Riley's like, shit. Well, I'm gonna have sex with the corpse. And
then he does. He has sex with all three of the corpses.
Oh, okay. See, now you took it. You're wrong. You're so wrong. You took it to a whole wrong level. Oh, Mikey.
Buffy slams the door in Dawn's face, and then we get the crypt scene with Spike.
Yeah. I don't know why, dude, but I had this funny feeling that might not be the last scene that I forgot. Because I'm looking at my notes here, and I'm like, how did I don't usually just forget entire scenes. I might get them mixed up, like put one before the other when it's supposed to be the other one but I rarely just don't have a scene, and I just don't have that scene. So anyway, let's see. Okay, so now we cut to the construction site, and Xander, we'll just say Xander A is kind of hiding out, watching Xander B, who's working.
Well, if you want, the script refers to them as Scruffy Xander and Suave Xander.
Oh, okay. Fine. Scruffy Xander. I'll call him Derp Xander and Pimp Xander.
Okay, that's fair.
So
that sounds more like us anyway.
Yeah. So Derp Xander's watching Pimp Xander from afar, hiding behind one of the work trailers. And he's like, "Wow, he's really good at this. Am I good at this, or is that just him that's good at this? Like, I don't know what's going on here." And then we see I'm gonna assume like the job foreman or whatever comes out, and he's like, "Harris, the job's winding down here soon. I'm talking to everybody in the office. Come in my office. I need to talk to you." And he's like, "Okay, I'll be there in just a second." So he goes in there, and Derp Xander climbs up on like some stacked up crap on the side of the trailer so he can look in and listen and watch through the window. And the job foreman's like, "How long you been here, Harris?" And and this just killed me for some reason. I don't know why, but Pimp Xander's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't?" Like, that would be a clear red flag. Like, maybe this guy doesn't even give a fuck about this job. He doesn't even know how long he's been here. But he literally goes, "I don't know." And the foreman's like, "I don't know, like 3 months or something." And then Pimp Xander's like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." And I don't know why that little exchange. I was like, "What the fuck? How do you not know where you've been working for 3 months?" But so he's like, and you've never done construction work before this, right? And Pimp Xander's like, no, never have before. And he's like, that's surprising because you're really good at this. And he's like, have you ever thought about staying on full time? We got another job starting after this one in some town. I don't know, some made up town, or it might have been a real town. And he's like, if you want to stay on, I was thinking about promoting you to, I don't know, head shit chaser. I don't know, some kind of job. And he's like, and it'll mean more responsibility.
I think it was the head of interior or something.
Yeah, the head of the glory hole is what he's promoted to. And he's like, it'll mean more responsibility and a lot more dick. And Pimp Xander's
interior carpentry.
Okay. Anyway, he's like, it'll mean more work and stuff. He's like, but it'll also mean more pay. And Pimp Xander's like, I don't mind dick or more pay. And so anyway, they agree to that. So Xander's going to stay on with the company, and he's got a promotion, and things seem to be going good. And Scruffy Xander or Derp Xander outside's like, what the fuck? This is my life. Blah! And then he falls off the stacked up shit that he's standing on and makes a hell of a racket that no one hears for reasons. And excuse me. And but it's it's cool. He got a promotion. And the next thing we know, he follows him to that apartment that they had looked at earlier together. And this is when he's talking to the leasing or whoever the fuck she is, a realtor, whatever. And she's like, oh, she's calling him Mr. Harris now, by the way. And she's like, we got your, the credit report back, and it was just fine. That's where I was like, bull fucking shit. My ass, his credit was fine. It would come back immediately and say no credit. And they'd be like, sorry, go fuck yourself. Go live in a hotel, loser. But yeah, apparently he somehow has perfect credit. And everything's fine and dandy. And so he's signing the paperwork. And at this point, the leasing agent becomes a $2 hooer. And like she's literally throwing her vagina at him. Like throwing it on his face.
Yep.
And she's like, here, I'm going to write my home number down. Call me anytime, day or night, even if it's not about business. And it's so dumb. And he's like, I don't know if he's oblivious to it or if I don't know, but he's just like, yeah, okay. And then she leaves. And so he has taken the apartment. And he picks up the phone, which is already, as we know earlier, had already been turned on, which is just weird because it's like, wait, what is this phone number? Like, how many people have had this phone number? But whatever. And not only is the phone service turned on, there's already a phone attached. So he just picks up the phone and calls 1-800-ANYA or 1-800 used to be a demon. And she doesn't answer, of course. So he leaves a message and says, hey, Anya, are you there? I know you're still upset at me and you're probably just standing there listening to me. And she actually is. And she's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, meet me at the apartment. I got something to show you. You know which one. And I'm like, well, yeah, she probably does because there's never been another apartment ever. So, so then he hangs up and she's like, no, I'm not going to fucking meet him there. And she goes to bed and just stays out of it. But anyway, at that time, what does Derp Xander do now at this point, James?
Let's see. He's been outside the apartment listening to this whole thing. And he wait, where am I? Sorry.
He comes flying and throws a drop kick.
No, he's been listening outside, and at this point, Pimp Xander opens the door and comes out into the hallway and closes the door behind him, and Scruffy Xander, Derp Xander, comes from around the corner and jumps onto his back yelling, and Pimp Xander easily tosses him off, and they kind of stare each other down, and then Pimp Xander just houses Derp Xander right in the mush, and
knocked 4 teeth out.
And Derp Xander just crumples to the ground, and he yells, "I won't let you do this," as Pimp Xander runs off, and Derp Xander is like, I need Buffy. So then we cut to a shot of Sunnydale in general, and rain's coming down. And then we cut to outside Giles's sweet pimp pad, and we see Derp Xander run through the courtyard, and he's soaked. And as he approaches Giles's place, for whatever reason, and I don't know why people always do this, instead of just going right into fucking Giles's house or going right to the fucking door and knocking on it, he like peeks through the window and sees himself talking to the Scoobies.
Well, it's the same thing as I was saying it, where Buffy answers the phone, and instead of like laying everything out and being like, this is what's going on, and he literally just walked past me, blah, 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 let's get this handled. He's like, I'm going to hang up the phone now and just follow this guy. I'll handle this. Right. You know?
Right. And like this happens all the time. Like how many times have, I think it happened, it definitely, I know, happened with Faith at one point. Yep. Like, she went to Giles's place and then ended up like just peeking through the window instead of going in like she was intending.
I hear voices. Let me eavesdrop and see if anybody's talking shit about me behind my back.
Right.
You know? Like, who the fuck does that? God.
Right. So he's eavesdropping through the window, and there's Pimp Xander telling the rest of the gang minus Willow and Tara, like, no, he looked just like me, and he stole my face, and we have to find it, and we have to kill it. And then we see Derp Xander, and he's like pleading to whatever gods may exist, please, Buffy, see that that's not me, resist his spell, do this for me. And he looks back in the window, and Buffy's like, don't worry about it, Xander. Whatever stole your face has to deal with the Slayer now.
Yeah.
And
can I say, let's time out real quick. I just wanted to say, before we go further, ever since we have seen Pimp Xander, he looks completely different than regular Xander. He's clean. He's wearing totally different kinds of clothes. He acts completely differently. He acts, confident, and the way he speaks is like he's just a completely different person. And yet everyone he has interacted with thus far, not a single motherfucker has commented and been like, you seem different, So right. I guess what I'm saying is all of his friends and everyone in his life sucks.
And this goes right back to the fact that none of them knew that Faith was in Buffy's fucking body either.
Yeah, true.
Except for, and it happens in this episode too, and I do kind of like that they keep doing it this way. In This Year's Girl, who was the first person that realized Buffy wasn't Buffy?
Willow.
No, Tara. Remember? She was the one that told Willow that wasn't Buffy. Her aura was off.
Oh, okay. But
and in this,
Tara's not the one that discovers it in this one.
No, but who discovers it, or who points it out in this one? Who's the first one to be like, did our Xander not seem right to you?
It was Willow.
No, it was Riley. Did you watch the episode?
No. But
no, you didn't.
Willow's the one he goes to, and she's the one that he convinces that he's Xander.
Right, but he doesn't have to convince her, because she doesn't know when he goes to her that there's two different Xanders yet.
No, I know, but he's saying, like, this is me, I'm Xander, and he does things, and she's like, I fucking know it's you, because I'm Willow, your best friend, and I know this.
Right. But also, she wouldn't have any reason to suspect that it wasn't Xander.
Right, but that's not the point. The point I'm saying is he comes to her thinking that she does not know. I mean, that knows what's going on. And he's like, I'm the real Xander. And he's like, I'll prove it. And she's like, okay, go ahead. And he proves it. And she's like, and she goes, okay, stop dancing. I know it's you. I know you. You know what I'm saying? And it's the other one. I don't know. Like I just it's stupid to me because
the point you're trying to make would work better if Willow was aware that there were two different Xanders at that point.
no, you still don't understand what I'm saying.
I do understand.
It doesn't matter if she knows or doesn't know, because he says, "I will prove to you that I'm Xander," and she goes, "Okay." She doesn't know what's going on, so she goes, "Okay, prove to me you're Xander," and then he does. If he hadn't have been able to prove it, she would have been like, "What the fuck? You're not Xander. You didn't know about that time when we were playing grab ass at the fucking merry-go-round or whatever." And
okay.
And then she's like, "I know it's you. I'm fucking Willow. We've been together since we were 5. I know it's you."
Okay. Okay, but in this episode, it's Riley who once Willow comes to them and is like, "No, there's two Xanders." Riley is the one that's like, "You know what? Didn't our Xander seem a little like not Xanderish?" So what I'm saying is I like the fact that in both these instances it was somebody that like
Isn't even
been
part of the core group. Yeah.
Right, like hasn't been around for a long time, that is like, "No, wait a minute, something's not right here."
See, you like that. To me, it kind of annoys me because I'm like, wait a minute. It should be somebody from the core group who's like, you know what I mean? Like, it should be somebody.
Right, I mean, like, I like it, but at the same time, it also annoys me because that means literally the rest of the group suck as friends. They're just like
exactly. They're horrible friends. Not only are they horrible friends, but it's like they have no power of observation, you know. And they're like nobody, when Xander came in, was like, "Wait a minute, I've known you now for 5 years and I have never seen you dressed like that, Xander. What?" And your hair's all like, you know, not slicked back, but you know what I mean, like
right,
all
it's combed
neat, combed back. He's talking like, I'd be like, "You're a fucking demon." And you know, I mean, they live in a world of this type of shit, so I'd be like, "Yeah, you're not fucking you," you know. And like, but nobody's like, "Huh, something seems off here." They're just like, "Okay, Xander, we'll go find bad Xander and we will immediately murder him for you." You know?
Right.
So I don't know.
So then we cut to UC Sunnydale, and then we cut to Willow's dorm room, and she comes in carrying a bunch of books, and no sooner than she's entered and shut the door, Derp Xander busts in, and basically the scene we just talked about plays out. He's like, "Willow, it's really me. I can prove it's me." And he gives her all this information, and he's like, "You know, every Christmas we watch Charlie Brown together, and I do the Snoopy dance." And then he does the Snoopy dance, and she's like,
which is kind of fun. It's
that is funny. Yeah. And then finally she's like, "Stop dancing. Like, shut up. Why wouldn't I think you're Xander?" And then he explains to her what's going on, and then he gets a little melancholy about it, and he's like, "You know what? Like, this demon with my face is literally better at my life than I am. Maybe I should just let him have it." You know,
which doesn't make sense, because I'm like, no, he's not. He's just living the life you already had.
Right.
Like, how's better?
But keep in mind, he also thinks that this demon is hypnotizing people, putting the whammy on them to get them to.
But I mean, as far as thinking like, "Oh, he's living my life," but like he got this promotion and he got the apart. I'm like, it's just he he worked at your job for 35 minutes. Like, you're the one that got the promotion. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, but
a promotion, you know.
But remember, he thinks that this demon is using that shiny coin thing to hypnotize people into giving him what he wants.
Okay.
So he thinks the demon put the whammy on his boss to give him the promotion.
It still doesn't make sense then, because then he should be like, "Well, he's not living my life better. He's just whammying people and making them think do what he
True.
wants. Like, so
True.
either way, his emo fucking self-harming bullshit doesn't make any fucking sense. I'd be like, fuck this guy. He's whammying people, making them think and do what he wants them to do, and so I'm going to kick his fucking dick in the dirt and make everything right. But no, he doesn't say it, and he's all like, "Ooh."
So we cut back to Giles' sweet pimp pad, and what's going on there?
Hardcore sex. Well, you forgot to mention that. Or wait, does that go? Yeah, I think that happens in the same scene where Xander then says, "Oh fuck, he's gonna go after he's gonna go after Anya."
Nope, that's after the scene at Giles's.
Oh, well, fuck me, I don't care. That happens. So y'all watch the episode, you know what the fuck happens. So yeah, I don't have anything for that.
No wonder you don't know what the demon's intent was if you don't even have the Giles scene.
Oh, I know his intent was to. Well, I don't want to give it away yet. I know what. Yeah. Okay. So, blah blah blah. No one cares. Emo Xander. Yeah, I don't. Well, I've got, Giles discovers that the rod Toth used is just the thing where Giles. Okay, so he discovered that the rod he used, he was trying to shoot Buffy with it. The one that hit Xander actually created two Xanders. They're both Xander, not one's not like an evil doppelganger and blah blah blah. So they're both Xander. What it is it puts the blast from the stick, splits them up and puts like basically all the shitty qualities in one and all the great qualities in another. However, they are both still Xander.
Right.
And then they also discover that one cannot live without the other. If one of them gets killed, they both cease to exist, kind of thing.
Right. And that's what Toth's plan was to split Buffy into regular Buffy and Slayer Buffy, and then kill regular human Buffy, because that would kill Slayer Buffy.
I get that. I know that. I knew that from the beginning. But that doesn't answer the question of what was his motivation. Why? Why is he doing it?
To kill the Slayer.
Never mind.
I mean, but what other motivation does he need? He's a demon. She's the Slayer.
Yeah, but almost every other time there's a Slayer or a vampire or whatever, there's some type of meat, some type of substance to the whole thing. Like, they spent all this time and money on making him look cool and all this, and gave him a name, gave him a race, and this special thing he's going to use to split him, to kill her. But it's fucking empty, pointless nothing. It's like, okay. And then they don't even discuss, to kill this demon, because lots of demons have to be killed different ways. Sometimes you got to decapitate them. Sometimes you got to, I don't know, a certain type of magical fire has to be used against whatever. They don't, and they're always like, okay, well, to kill this one, we got to, they never even discuss that. And anyway, so they're like, fuck, we got to go find the Xanders before one of them fucking offs the other one, because then they'll both cease to, exist. So, let's see. So if Toth's plan had worked, he would have split Buffy into like totally human, normal Buffy, and then super powered Slayer Buffy, and then he could have just killed, normal Buffy and blah blah blah. That would have ended Buffy. That was his plan. So we cut to Pimp Xander and Anya are now at the apartment. She's now come and met him, and he's being all suave and debonair because, as we now know, he has all the best qualities. Which I'm like, but does Xander even have suave and debonair in him to begin with? But apparently he does. And so he's like saying all the right things and everything's just, hunky dory. And then Goober Pile comes busting in the door and they have a big confrontation and Pimp Xander's like, all right, enough of this. I'm gonna kick your ass, and he's like, this will take about 30 seconds, and then shit gets real because Derpy Xander fucking pulls out a goddamn gun and points it at Pimp Xander, and he's like, I'm thinking more like 3 seconds, and I was like, holy fuck, did this escalate? Because I don't remember which one of us, probably me, failed to mention that there was this short little scene where Scruffy Xander goes to Anya's apartment and is digging through her stuff, and he's like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Well, he was looking for this gun.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where the gun came from. But anyway, so we had this little scene where it's just Riley and Buffy in the car, right? There's nobody in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're in Giles' BMW, right?
Yep.
I thought so. Okay. So she's like, can't this go any faster? And he's like, well, I'm pushing 70. And I'm like, well, then it can go faster. It's like, anyway. They have a little talk about, I didn't write any of it down. I just put stupid talk no one cares about. They're like having a little, do you want to take that little part? Because you probably know it better than I do. Their little conversation.
So Buffy basically asks him, would Riley like it better if she was just Buffy and not Slayer Buffy? And he's like no. He's like, no, I want it all, every part of Buffy. And he says, there's no part of you I'm not in love with. And that's the scene.
Yeah, so stupid. I don't know, it just seems like maybe if this scene had been moved to the end of the episode when everything's resolved and they had talked, like, I probably would have thought totally different about it. Like if she had brought up, what if that is? But it just seems like in the literal heat of the moment, when they're racing against time to get to the Xanders so that one of them doesn't kill the other one, like, hey, let's have an existential talk here about what we might, you know what I'm saying? Just seems stupid and inappropriate. Anyway, they do get there. Well, he goes to shoot the Pimp Xander, but Anya gets in the middle. She gets shot and killed. Neither Xander can handle it, so they murder suicide each other, and that's what Buffy and Riley get to. No, she gets in the middle and pushes the gun up in the air, and the three of them are kind of struggling over it. But when it's all said and done, Pimp Xander gets the gun, and he's got Scruffy Xander at gunpoint when Buffy and Riley finally arrive, and Buffy's like, give me the gun, and Pimp Xander just like takes one hand and like flips the cylinder open and dumps the bullets and snaps it back shut and spins it around and hands it to her, and everybody's like, oh, that was a pimp move. And I'm like, they can both do that. They were Army Xander at one point. Like, come on. So then once she has the gun, she explains the whole thing to him, that they're both Xander, and one's got the best, one's got the not so best, and yada yada. And around that time, Toth appears, and he's got toilet paper stuck to his shoe. He's been taking a dump again. He's got bowel problems. He has.
He's got IBS.
He's got IBS, and that's his motivation, James. I finally gave him his motivation that makes this character worthwhile. He has IBS, and he blames the Slayer for it.
I just don't know where this like irritation about like I feel like I'm a demon, she's the Slayer is enough motivation.
Sometimes it is, yes. It sometimes it is. Like, especially if it's kind of just maybe just a minor kind of throwaway character that's not like a big, like if it's, she's just fighting vampires in the graveyard, or they're just, or like Harmony and her goober gang go after her, yes, that's fine then. But they they made this guy look so cool. They give him a name. They give him like they should say, okay, they always have like a bigger plan. Like, okay, he wants to open a portal to this other hell dimension so that he can bring in his people, and then they can eat the asses of whatever. And there's always some bigger, they're just like, well, he wants to kill the Slayer. Okay.
But then why does Spike get a pass? Because Spike's literal motivation has always just been kill the Slayer.
That's Spike's thing. He kills Slayers. He enjoys killing Slayers.
He's killed 2 Slayers. It's not his thing.
No one else has killed 2 Slayers.
Okay.
That's his thing, to kill Slayers. He even says that, like in the first or second episode he's in. He's like, I kill Slayers. That's what I do.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, if he had just, like, if they had just made him, like, they didn't need to name him and make him look so cool and give him this backstory, he's got this stick of doom and all this shit. If it didn't, I don't know. I guess I'm stupid, but that's just the way I see it. Let's see. So, okay, yeah. So Toth appears, having just taken a dump, and Buffy and Riley start fighting him, and he pretty much houses Riley pretty much right away. He just backhands Riley into another dimension, and but she kind of beats him, not all that, doesn't have all that much difficulty beating him. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying she just totally owns him, but it's not like a really protracted fight. She pretty much owns him pretty quick, and then she hollers at Riley, the sword! And he pulls a sword out of the backpack of weapons they brought and tosses it to her, and she just stabs him, and that's it. That's all for Toth. So the Xander halves are kind of getting along now, kind of making each other laugh and saying weird shit. And everybody's like, or is it? I think it's Buffy that says, no, it's Giles that says, or isn't it? Yeah, I think it's Giles that says he's a bad influence on himself.
Yeah.
And so Giles and Willow have researched a way to put merge the two back together to one Xander. And so Giles is down on the ground. By the way, they're back at the magic box at this point. And Giles is down on the ground, and he's drawn a big, I guess it's a pentagram, I'm assuming.
It looked like a pentagram, yeah.
Okay. So he's drawing this pentagram, and they're putting like some candles and stuff around it. And Willow's like, she takes them over and has them stand in the pentagram, and she's like, okay, brace yourselves, and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, let the spell be ended. And that's it. No poof, no crackle of lightning. Just, that's it. It's just one Xander.
I did think it was disturbing and funny that Anya wanted to keep them both around.
How did I can't believe I left that out. Yeah. Anya wanted at least for one night to keep them both. And she just straight up says, I can take the boys home and we can all have sex together. And then we can just put them back together tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Giles,
That's
let's all just pretend like we didn't hear any of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the end of the episode. Oh wait, no, it's not.
No, that's not it.
That's not it. Oh, you're right. My bad.
Yeah. Now they're at Xander's basement. Most everybody, most all the Scoobs, and they're helping him pack up and move out, moving his shit to his new apartment. And then it comes to a point where it's just he and Riley. And Riley has a little emo moment where he's talking about Buffy, and he's like, she's one of a kind. There's no one in the world like her, and it's when I'm around her, it's one half of me is just on fire, and I just want to touch her at all times, but the other half of me is perfectly still and content and just happy. And he's like, and I realize she's the one. And then he looks at Xander and he's like, but she doesn't love me. And Xander's like, and then that's credits. And everybody, and I'm like, wait, what? when was that a what? So that's the end of the episode.
That is the end of the episode. Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
I think you stand a good chance this week. Would you like to play everyone's favorite game, Body Count?
1.
Yes! Way to go, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our music this week, just Thomas Wanker with our original score. What else?
Thomas Richard Wanker. Thank you.
Thomas Richard Wanker. It's kind of weird, like spending 4 seasons previously mentioning Christopher what's his face as the series composer. It's kind of throwing me off every week now that we've got someone new.
But I like the new guy's name better.
Yeah, he had a rough time as a kid, right? Like he didn't come out of childhood unscathed.
No, he is in lifelong therapy, absolutely.
Right. But he at one point did get to be like, fuck you guys, I'm on the #1 show on television, or I'm working on the #1 show on television, so
and everybody's like, hey, your name is still Thomas Richard Wanker.
Right, like your name is still Wanker. Right. Christoph Beck, that was our series composer for the first 4 seasons. Body count, music. Jeremy, why don't you tell myself and our army of listeners, our plethora of viewership, how many Xanders do you give this episode on a scale of 1 to 5?
I gotta give it like a 2.
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta give it a 2. I almost feel like, okay, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. I don't want to drone on and on. I think the better story would have been, I mean, you keep all the same people and all the same players, but at the beginning of the episode, like, since this demon in the end didn't really matter and didn't really pose a real dangerous, risk, that, like, they should have had the fight at the beginning. Xander gets hit by the thing, but they finish off the demon. Demon's now out of the story. Then we have the rest. Like, I guess what I'm saying is the B plot of this demon that runs throughout the course of the whole episode was just utterly unnecessary. Like, they should have just vanquished him in the first couple of scenes, maybe even before the cold open was over, and been like, whoo, good thing we got rid of that guy. And then just spend the rest of the episode with the A, just the A story of Xander and his split up thing, because the demon didn't even matter to the story in the long run. Just a little sticky shot and separated them. But other than that, it's not like they had to be like, fuck, we have to find the demon and beat him or whatever. We have to get that woody doody stick from him so that we can put the two Xanders back together. If he destroys that stick, then the two Xanders are going to be separated forever. Like some kind of right. Emotional thing there. Like, it just didn't matter. So just get rid of that guy in like the first scene before during the cold open, and then have the episode. But I don't know. Obviously, you don't agree with me on a lot of things about this episode, but to me, it's a 2. There's a little bit of good ha-has in there with the two Xanders, but by and large, I'm going to say what you said last week. It's pointless. It doesn't move the overall story for the season at all. It doesn't need to be, and we still are no closer to, what the big bad's going to be or whatever. It's just, and that's okay. I'm not saying you can't have like little filler episodes and things, but I mean, we're fucking 3 goddamn episodes into the season now, and it's pointless bullshit.
Right. We've had 3 filler episodes.
Yes, 3 like the season opener was just a filler fucking turd. So
right. At
this point, I'm like, okay, let's fucking do something here, and so yeah, it's just a 2. It's a below average episode for me. I know there's probably people who it's like a 5 for, and that's fine, but for me, it's just a who cares? Like, I don't care. I'll never remember it. So, I mean, that's my opinion. So, James, how many woody doody sticks do you give this episode, and what's your final thoughts?
I am giving this episode 3 woody doody sticks.
Okay.
I actually, again, like last week, I think for the most part, our thoughts on the episode are fairly aligned. I do think you're overthinking the whole, like, what was Toph's motivation and everything, like, but that is what it is. Although I think some of that may come down to the fact that you just don't like the episode overall.
Could be.
It's possible. But yeah, I mean, it's a 3 for me. It's not an egregiously bad episode, but much like last week's, and like you just pointed out, it's just there. Like, it doesn't move the story along in any way except to get Xander out of his parents' basement. It's, we're, like you said, we're 3 episodes in now, and it seems like we've just had 3 filler episodes. There's been nothing about the, Buffy, learning about her Slayer past since the first episode. We're no closer to having any indication who or what our big bad is this season. So yeah, it's just another filler episode, and that's not. And again, I don't mind filler episodes, but not when it's your first 3 episodes of the season. Like, yep. That's not good. But other than that, I thought it was a fine episode. I thought it was pretty funny in a lot of spots. I think everybody had a moment to shine comedically in this one. And I do think, having gone ahead and watched some other episodes, in the season in preparation for recording, and also having watched it originally, I do think that this was kind of they used this episode to essentially reset Xander. Like, going forward, we do get a Xander that's more embracing of pimp Xander, so to speak. Like, now that he realizes he's got those qualities, we do see a Xander that's more put together,
and more responsible.
and more responsible, yeah, and not as much of a, spaz and whatnot. So I do think it served to reset the character a little bit, which is good because I feel like of all the characters, Xander kind of got left behind in the third season as far as character development goes. Everyone else.
You could make the argument he got left behind in the second season, really.
Well, right. Everyone else has matured and gone to college and moved into an adult life, and he was, like I said, I feel like the character was kind of left behind in high school, as far as development goes. So I do think this episode is good for that. Kind of resets him into more of an adult, role with the rest of the characters. So, but yeah, it's a 3 overall. I mean, they need to start, and I hate to say it, but the next episode, it's another filler episode. The next episode.
It is.
And spoiler alert, it's a filler episode, but at the same time, it kind of retroactively ties up some loose ends.
Well, and it does have two threads in it that lead into a couple of major events in the rest of the season. At least we're getting that. But it is 90% just a filler episode.
Right. So,
and are you done with your?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
If I could just say one last thing about this episode is that, as I said before, and as you just said, filler episodes are okay, but that's, to me, you want to do that as the season matures. You've already got your groundwork laid and your threads are all where they need to be. And sometimes you need an episode or two that kind of take a deep breath and step back from the overall deal for the season. And you need something a little simpler, a little easier, so that's okay. But like you literally just said, not your first 3 fucking episodes of the damn season, back to back.
It almost feels to me like, for whatever reason, they were like, hey, this is the 5th season, and I know we've kind of made a name for ourselves on season-wide storytelling and whatnot, but how about if we switch it up and try and do an episodic series?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
which is not what this show had been up to this date.
Right. And it's not what they're good at. And that even carries over to Angel. Like, part of Angel's issue in the beginning was that it tried to be episodic and monster of the week. And they quickly realized
that. You can do that in a show because one of our favorite shows of all time does that. But you can't do that when you've already established 4 seasons of not doing that and being, So yeah, it's frustrating when you're 3 episodes in and you're like, okay, so if I delete those 3 episodes out of my memory, I've lost nothing for this season.
Right. And I think, and to go back to Angel real quick, I think unfortunately the way Buffy stories had been told worked against Angel in the same regard.
Yeah.
Because when Angel started, they tried to be episodic, like Monster of the Week type thing. But obviously the people that watched Angel had come from Buffy, and they were like, no, this isn't the storytelling I want. I want season-long arcs with a big bad, So,
and frankly, I think Angel absolutely could have worked as an episodic show had it not spun off from Buffy and how we already knew.
100% it could have, because like you said, one of our other favorite show of all time was very much an episodic show. And granted, when it did decide to do like multiple episode arcs, man, it knocked it out of the fucking park.
Yeah, because that was not their normal thing. So when they did do it, it was like, fuck, this is, this is great.
Right. When you were like, holy shit, like this is fucking important because they're spreading it out over multiple stories.
Right. So, but yeah, you can, neither format of show, I like both formats. So I'm not shitting on it because, these have been episodic episodes. It's just, I'm shitting on it because that's not Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it never was.
It's not what we've come to expect. So it's disappointing.
We've always gotten our filler episodes sprinkled in as the main arc is going on. Like we've never, at least I don't think we've ever had the first 3, and spoiler alert, really the first 4 episodes of a season just completely meaningless.
Right. Yep. So
anyway,
hey Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we started the podcast? You put together a website for us?
Yeah, BuffyRevisited.com.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And if people go there, they will be able to find our email address, BuffyRevisited@gmail.com, a link to our Facebook, and get this. I know it's hard to wrap our heads around.
I know.
If they go, there's a YouTube link, and if they go to that YouTube link, they can watch the video version of this podcast right now.
That's happening right now.
That's happening right now.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. It's some type of gypsy magic.
It is. It's definitely witchcraft and wizardry of the highest caliber. But yes, go to those places, leave us comments, send us emails, or don't. Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever. We 5 seasons in, we're used to being ignored, so whatever. But hey, at least we can say the doors were open, and
right. It's there. It's there. You guys, you just gotta take advantage of it. That's all.
So holla.
Holla.
So yeah. So do you have any closing thoughts or anything, James?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us this week. Next week we will be jumping into season 5, episode 4, Out of My Mind. And werewolves? Are we thinking werewolves?
Yeah. Let's go werewolves. Werewolves because let's talk this through real quick. You're transforming into a werewolf. It's painful. It's scary. It's like an out-of-body experience. It kind of takes you out of your mind.
It's orgasmic.
Sure. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're out of our minds orgasmically.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, all right, everybody. Again, thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. I've been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Ta-ta.